Hey guys, this is Ryan from resume2offer.com. Hope everyone's doing well. Today is going to be a little bit, more of a low-key kind of social. Imagine it's a bit of like almost like a one-on-one, like if we were talking at a coffee shop or on a Zoom call. And I want to make this video. This video is going to be about how you can change your life in the next 6 months. And I know that's a tall order for a lot of people. And this is going to be about kind of how to like use the law of attraction to the next level. I've been a big fan of the law of attraction. I use it every day. I've been studying it for the last like kind of probably 12 to 14 years now, and I've seen a lot of results, a lot of things in my career, love life, health. And why 6 months? Because I've done that in ways when I focused on it. Give you an example, like, back in 2020, I kind of focused on this stuff really hardcore, and I was able to change my life big time. Tripled my income. I met my now wife, changed kind of certain elements of my vibration, and also I got promoted as well, and then I got more income too, and then I also did a half Ironman. So this is gonna be a combination of things that I did, and I've kind of obviously most of this channel is a lot about kind of job interviewing and career development because that's kind of more my background and kind of my specialty. But I've been a big fan of law of attraction. I like to talk about this stuff. I think it can benefit you in all areas of life if you know how to utilize it, the right way. And I would recommend checking out. I've made a few videos in the past month or two. Some stuff. One of the best courses that I would recommend is called Your Wish is Your Command. This was the course that I started with. It's $500, but if you use the discount, you get it for free. So check that out. I would strongly recommend using that. And hit me up if you get it, because I'd love to hear kind of your feedback and how you're kind of going through the course and what resonates and what doesn't. So check out the videos below. I make a review on Your Wish, explain what it is. I also do a few different videos on how to properly apply the law of attraction to get more results and better and easier than ever before. And I'm going to break down also a few different things that, I think can kind of help clarify maybe some methods, some protocols, and basically to give you a little bit of a blueprint over the next 6 months to really just elevate your life to the next level. I can't guarantee that this is going to change every iota. Will you definitely be better? Absolutely. Definitely strongly recommend it. So we're going to be talking about this. So first off, if you don't know what the law of attraction is, check out Your Wish is Your Command. Check out the book, The Secret. There's also a video, The Secret. I believe it's free on Amazon Prime. Check that out. That'll explain it entirely. And just a quick summary, it's really about how to use your energy and your vibration and your resonance to create the reality that you want to have, okay? Kind of at least getting you closer there. There's a great axiom called be, do, have, okay? Whenever I'm coaching people, you have to look at kind of where they are and the downstream effects. A lot of people are doing action, 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 which is awesome. That's great. Doing action is better than no action at all. But if I change the being, the person, the self-image, the vibration, the actions are going to be a lot easier, and you're going to have a multiplier effect on the results that you're going to, receive. A lot of people either are like, who are into law of attraction, just meditate and just kind of wait for things to happen in their life. And that's fine to a degree, but you got to be taking action. So they're either on one area where they're just all about the vibration element and kind of, not taking any action, or the other side where they're taking all the action, but they got to kind of change from the inside out first. Okay. So we're going to be talking a little bit about that. So number one, take action. We want to change the being, the vibration, also your action steps to get you closer to where your goals are. So when I kind of do this stuff, the first thing you have to change is, number one, you got to learn what the law of attraction is. So check out those courses and check out that material to kind of get a better understanding. And the second thing is you have to work on your self-image, okay? The self-image is a big thing that, we all have limiting beliefs. We all have unconscious stuff. Now, with studies these days, this has actually happened a lot. There's nature versus nurture. You're kind of born with a few different, attributes and traits. And then we make decisions and postulates over time that kind of shape who we are. And, they talk about, hey, it takes 30 days to break a habit. If you look at different kind of, atomic habits or habit breaking things. It takes some time to start getting those habits that you need to do. And the other thing is that there's a lot of subconscious patterns that we have that you need to kind of get rid of. You have to change them from limiting beliefs to empowering beliefs. A lot of this was done in the first 7 years of our lives. That's kind of actually when your brain's in what's called an alpha state. And the alpha state is kind of when the left and right are more synced together, and you're just taking in knowledge. And I have a 7-month-old, and I just see her taking in knowledge. She's exploring everything, and if I do something, she repeats it. And this happens when we were kids, and our brain kind of solidifies the neuroplasticity, and now you have both conscious, subconscious, and unconscious levels. And I would say 90 to 95% of the stuff is all the subconscious and unconscious. You don't even know what's happening. Okay, so the first thing you have to kind of fix is the self-image. How do you fix the self-image? There's a few different ways that you can do so, but I would recommend books like Psycho-Cybernetics. There's the new Psycho-Cybernetics and the original Psycho-Cybernetics. I've read both. I would recommend reading both. That's a great way to do this. I also did affirmations in the past. You kind of look in the mirror and you read, and you want to keep this short, by the way. Everybody makes these affirmations, make them like 5 pages, and they throw it away basically. You make it like 2 to 5 affirmations that are easy to say every morning and every evening. You look in the mirror and you say kind of like, who is the person you want to become? Okay, that's a big thing. Who do you really want to become? The eyes are the windows of the soul. You want to look into your eyes. I did this different periods of time, and each time I was changing my self-image, and I keep changing it to the person I kind of need to become in the situation. It was very different when, hey, I just graduated from college, or when I was living in Japan at the time. Now I'm kind of hitting a new stage, being a parent, being a father, being a husband, being kind of a community leader. I led a workout this morning with like 10 other guys in the park, which was a lot of awesome. But I'm kind of hitting a next stage of life, which is why I'm like, hey, I'm going to go back to my hard training, and over the next 6 months I want to become the next version of myself, that you reinventing myself to be the next version that's better, that can rise to the occasion of what I need to be. So that's kind of my motivation, just a heads up and very transparent. First off, self-image. There's a few things that you can do. So I've used different tools to do this. You have to write down what kind of self-image you want. Go all out, brainstorm different things in health, love life, riches, career, spirituality, just lifestyle. And you want to come up with really like 3 to 5 key things, right? I make money easily, frequently, and abundantly. I love what I do, and I get paid very well to do it. I'm happy, healthy, and prosperous. Different things like that are quick, easy to remember. You can say them in the car. You can say them, in the morning, in the evening. The key is, you want to make sure you're saying it in the morning and the evening, usually the 10 minutes when you wake up and 10 minutes before you go to bed. And you make it very easy to digest, easy to do. Another key thing, it has to be something that is easy to believe in, that's like the next level. If you look at like a gradient, depending on what your dreams are, a lot of people, when they do affirmations, are like, I'm a billionaire. And they might be broke. That's a big gradient. That's a huge shift. Instead, talk about, hey, you know what? I'm making 10% more money than I'm making 20% more money. I'm making an extra 50K. I'm making $100,000 a year. Whatever it is, that's a little bit more of where you are. The key is the feeling. It feels good to you. It feels good to, to say these things. That's how you know the resonance. If you want like an advanced thing, there's something called muscle testing. Muscle testing is a way, and there's different versions of muscle testing, but your physiology basically shows when your conscious and your subconscious are kind of linked. So if I were to, I'm not going to say it right now, but if I were to say certain things, I use this as a test. I'm kind of squeezing my fingers. I use it as a test to kind of see like, all right, I want to make 100,000. 150, 200, 250. And I kind of find out where, it's very easy for me to like squeeze my hand. That means there's a disconnect. Okay, this is the general rule of thumb, but you want to get to the point where it's still strong and it's a little bit more than when you're like, hey man, I'm going to do an Ironman, right? Still pretty strong, but I've done like 3 half Ironmans since then. So that belief to me is, very high. Another person that might be like, I can run 3 miles. It might be, oh my God, no, not there yet. I can run 1 mile. Oh, very strong. You kind of can assess that. So you want to make sure your self-image is just the next level up. Okay. It's achievable. It's believable. It's not so much where it's like, you feel like you're lying to yourself. So that's very key. Okay. So the first thing is self-image. The next thing that we talked about in the law of attraction world, you got to know the basics. You got to be feeling good throughout the day. And this is where you want to use different things, whatever puts you in a good feeling spot. You're doing gratitude, ideally. Gratitude's a great way. You're smiling all throughout the day. You're laughing. You're treating people kindly. Whatever kind of works for you. You meditate, work out, playing with your kids, playing with your pets, whatever, doing sports, different things, walking outside, all these things together will make you feel good. And the very key concept is to feel good now, feeling a little bit better. So doing the basics of law of attraction means you're in a good flow feeling throughout the day. And as that goes out, kind of the world's going to shift to you to keep getting that feeling. That's kind of the key composite. So you got to know the basics. Got to know the basics. You got to change your self-image. The next thing, I did this on the last video where I talked about the hippocampus and the different brain waves. So if you look at I made the video about, they talked to, Joe Dispenza talked about brainwaves recently, Dr. Joe Dispenza, and there's a few other people have talked about this where they've done brain scans of people from all walks of life. And they did this study, and I think it was mostly for like Olympic athletes and NBA players. And then they did one that was like people that were more wealthier than most, like millionaires and a few billionaires in that mix. And they tested this whole thing. And they looked at the brain scans. And the summary was that the people that were the high achievers, that were just crushing it at life, had a bigger hippocampus than the average person. And their brainwave was mostly in what was called a theta brainwave. Okay, there's like 5 different quadrants, but they were mostly in theta. The average person, the average Joe, was they mostly, doesn't mean the whole day, it means like 80% of the day, they were in a beta brainwave, and their hippocampus was very small. Now, if you kind of study this whole new age energy law of attraction stuff, the energy is coming out of your hippocampus. It's almost like that's like the broadcaster. That's the strength of the signal when you're putting your energy out. And then you have to also put it on the right frequency. It's got to be like on the right channel, which is the brainwave. So if you are having a great self-image, if you are feeling good every day, that's wonderful. If you can increase your hippocampus and put yourself into a theta brainwave, it's going to be even more powerful. Okay? Now, how do you do that? Well, there's a lot of different ways. I've been to seminars on this. You can't find them on YouTube. They're not recorded. It's kind of you had to be a member. And I would recommend that. Actually, I learned a lot of this from a group called the Global Information Network. I've been a member for past 10 years. And if you listen to Your Wish is Your Command, that is one of their courses. It's kind of a preview, basically. It's like a free trial run that you can listen to. And if you want to be a member, great. Then you can kind of check it. You can take it to the next level. But start with the Your Wish series. So in the club, they talk about kind of different ways that you can increase this power, increase the brainwave, increase the intensity, and increase basically your neuroplasticity and your hippocampus. I'm really into health and fitness. So when I first heard this, it's kind of like almost like they had like 50 different things, and it's almost like a checklist. And I was kind of like, oh, thank God. I'm actually doing like 80% of this stuff already, which explained a lot because when I was first learning this stuff in Japan, I was doing a lot of things, and I would meet with the mastermind, and for some reason it was like me and one other friend, we were getting results a lot more than the rest of the group, and we were kind of wondering why. Like, they're all doing the same thing. This was the reason why. I haven't hooked up my brain, but after listening to this list, I'm doing a lot of those activities, so I think I'm on the brainwave a little bit more often, and my hippocampus is probably a little bit bigger. Size matters. But I'll give you guys a preview. Some of the things are exercise, being in nature, being outside, getting the sun on you, exercising the body, deep breathing. There's also things like, having negative ions around you. And you can do that through having like, hey, a desk salt lamp. I have a salt lamp right here. I can actually show that as I do this. I have, and by the way, the person who was like a top seller at my company, and this was like 7 years ago, they had 2 salt lamps right next to them at all times, which was actually very interesting when I learned this. Having negative ions, you can get this from waterfalls or trees, wind through the trees. Associating with people that are better than you, which is very important when we talk about the mastermind concept. Reading's a big one. Reading at least 10 to 30 minutes a day will infinitely increase your hippocampus, okay, and put you in a theta brainwave. So like things like meditation, reading, learning a new skill, general exercise, all of those are really good to do. Now, when I was like, a rafting guide, I was exercising, I was speaking Japanese, I was outside all the time. I drink water like a fish. I was doing all these things that I didn't know actually had an effect on my law of attraction abilities. Okay. And I was meditating. I remember every night, right before I went to bed for like 20 minutes. So I'm like, oh, I need to bring that back. So I'm going to be doing that. There's a great fitness routine. My friend was talking about it called Hard 75. And Hard 75 is basically you work out once or twice a day. You read, basically 10 pages of the book or 10 minutes. You drink a gallon of fresh water, spring water, every single day. And I think I'm missing something else. You take a photo, I believe, but just that protocol over 75 days will drastically help decalcify your pineal gland, increase your hippocampus, and increase the ability to be in theta brainwaves. Another thing I would recommend, I'm into biohacking. If you ever heard of the breath work, doing the Wim Hof breath work will also help doing that. Doing cold plunging will help do that. Shocking your system, shocking your biochemistry and your physicality. These are all really in things. There's more to this. There's like a list of 50 that I can talk about. That's kind of for members only, but I'll give you guys a preview. If you just do that simply every single day, you will see results in 30 to 60 days, okay? Next thing. This is one that you probably don't hear about that often. Vocabulary. I've only heard 2 groups ever talk about power of vocabulary. Actually, I should say 3. Okay, 3 groups. One, TechnoTutor. So TechnoTutor is a tool that I've used that's a vocabulary builder. And I've made 2 videos on TechnoTutor in my channel. You can check them out. They, I think, have a really good tool. If you have kids, I do recommend, especially for kids. I have seen people who have this tool with their kids. I can guarantee you my daughter's going to be on it. And they're like just basically baby geniuses. So you can check that out. The second group is actually in the Global Information Network. They talk about this kind of further down the track. If you look at your wish, that's kind of the intro. And then they have what's called the Success Mastery course and the Science of Personal Mastery course. They talk about right at the beginning the importance of vocabulary. So that was a big eye opener too. And that was kind of recently updated with all this information. I was like, wow. And it makes sense. So very interesting. And then the third group is actually in my area of recruiting. In recruitment and staffing, we look for successful traits of people from the past hires so we can predict good people we can hire in the future. One of those elements is actually vocabulary and reading levels. People who have strong vocabulary in their resumes and they rank high in what we call the applicant tracking system. This is kind of in the recruiting world. They're more likely to succeed down the road. So those are like the 3 groups where vocabulary becomes a big thing, and you never hear about this stuff. How can you increase your vocabulary? Obviously, learning new words and reading. There's a thing, so you can use TechnoTutor, you can do the course in Global Information Network. There's also, I think, Johnson O'Connor Institute. They have a little bit of a course. The Verbal Advantage has a free course online. I don't think you can go wrong. I do think TechnoTutor really probably has the most abundant one. I think the Global Information Network has an excellent course as well. So like you can't go wrong, but vocabulary is one of those missing ingredients that a lot of people don't know. In the fitness world, breath work wasn't a big deal. It was all about like stretching, aerobic, anaerobic, and health. And I do think in the last 5 years, breath work has become a huge thing. And all these other things of biohacking is now a missing pillar. Same thing with this in just terms of law of attraction. Vocabulary is another pillar that's kind of that lost pillar. And if you can do it, this is where you can really go further. So how do I know this? Because when I talked about this back in 2020 for 6 months, I did this exact formula. Okay. I was eating healthy, exercising. Okay. I was changing my self-image, and then I also was working on vocabulary. I focused on vocabulary, and I tell the story in the Techno-Tutor reviews, so you can check those out. But I worked on vocabulary around, income and money and things like that. 3 months later, I tripled my income. Then I was like, oh my gosh. Oh, sorry. No, I have the other way around. I did it on relationships first. I did it on my relationships. 3 months later, I met my now wife, and we have a daughter together. Very beautiful. We live in this beautiful house. Then I did it again for income and money and salary and career. 3 months later, I got a promotion. Then I got a new job that tripled my income. So it was pretty amazing. All those things combined, that is kind of the protocol and the system. And if you want like a real easy, I would recommend checking out the courses I've mentioned, and I'll put those in the description below. But if you need some extra help, feel free to reach out to me. You can look me up on LinkedIn. It's probably the easiest way to get a hold of me. And that's one way that, hey, I'd be happy to chat, shed some insight. And if you have any questions or want some extra training, happy to do this. Okay. So a few things. I want to kind of go back again. Basically, fitness and health, you have to make sure that you start doing that pillar. Okay. Drinking plenty of water, ideally a gallon a day. And that's hard for me too. So just if you can only do 100 ounces, that's better than 0. So drinking tons of good, clean water, exercising in some way, moving the body. It could be yoga, walking, exercising, or like hard stuff where, I do like CrossFit stuff and things like that and triathlon training. That's my ammo, but wherever you are. Next thing is the self-image. Start doing a routine for the self-image. In the Global Information Network, they have a protocol that's even better for self-image, and I would recommend that. Or check out Psycho-Cybernetics. Then we have, we talked about vocabulary. Start building your vocabulary. Start reading every day, meditating, building the vocabulary. Even a few words a day is better. Okay? You always want to make sure, I would have an index card that has a list of the dreams, your goals and dreams that you want. You write them down white paper, blue ink, and you keep them on an index card with you, and you look at that every morning and night. You do your affirmations morning and night. Yeah, and then the things I mentioned. And then last but not least, you got to be taking action. You got to take action every single day. A lot of people don't do this when they learn this stuff. They kind of just wait for it. You got to go after it. You got to take action every day, take baby steps. Learn, I would recommend, there's a great video on 10 steps to manifesting. That's a great video. Also, if you use that download link that I mentioned, Your Wish is Your Command, it includes that. There's like a supplemental video that's like an hour that talks about how to take action effectively. Okay, so that's what I would recommend. I hope this has been helpful. I'm going to be doing this as well. I'm going to be going through this training over the next 6 months to get better in my own regards. I've lived an amazing life. I've been very thankful to have a lot of great relationships and friends and good health. Thank everything to have that. I want to take it to the next level, to be a better family person, better dad, better husband, all those things, better community and better businessman. So if you want to do this with me, reach out to me. I'd love to hear your results. I'd love to have like an accountability partner. Maybe we can even jump on a few phone calls together. Okay. So hope this is helpful. Reach out anytime and have a good one. Cheers.